As coaches, we'll have all advised our players at some time to embrace nerves. We'll have told them that they need to be nervous to perform well. But why? Why do we give this advice? The goal of my second visual essay is to explain this. Imagine the neurochemical reactions that happen in our brain and the hormonal reactions that happen throughout our body as ingredients that we're going to put into a cocktail. We're going to talk about two cocktails. We're going to talk about the flow cocktail and we're going to talk about the fight or flight cocktail. So when we're stressed, the first chemical that we release, or one of the first neurochemicals that we release, is norepinephrine. You can then add cortisol into this cocktail shaker, and then finally adrenaline. So norepinephrine, cortisol, and adrenaline result in a player getting in the fight or flight state. So as we all know, this isn't conducive to playing the best golf. However, it is conducive to heightened focus. And heightened focus is one of the characteristics of the zone. So when norepinephrine, cortisol, and adrenaline are released by the brain and put in a cocktail shaker and shaken around, we're in the fight or flight situation. But we do have heightened focus. So the ingredient that we now need to add to take us into the zone is situational awareness training. Players that have been put into the fight or flight state numerous times in practice or in competition will develop the ability, develop the neurochemical reactions to be able to deal with this. And the first reaction that they fire off is the release of nitric oxide. This is a stress inhibitor. And it's this stress inhibitor that has a calming influence on the cortisol and adrenaline and allows norepinephrine to still be one of the ingredients that we put into our cocktail shaker and tighten focus. We then add dopamine into the cocktail, and this helps us process information. Anandamide helps with lateral thinking. And the final ingredient that goes into the flow cocktail or the zone cocktail are endorphins. These basically make us feel great. So often we talk about people being adrenaline junkies. Well, this strictly wouldn't marry up with the reactions that are going on in the brain. We're actually flow junkies. We don't want the adrenaline. We want, as sportsmen, to bypass the adrenaline, to calm down the cortisol and actually get in a flow state. That's what we all crave. And the way we can do this, put our students repeatedly in situations where they will fail. They will fight, they will flee, or they will freeze. Because what we fire, we wire. So the more we put students in those situations, they'll learn to deal with and learn to develop the skills and the neurological reactions that allow them to bypass the flight or fight cocktail and drink straight out of the flow cup. Imagine the first time this motocross rider at 3 years old flew through the air. And if they drink from the fight or flight cup, chances are they're going to fall off their bike and break a limb. So very, very early on in their careers, extreme athletes learn to access and drink the zone cocktail. What's extremely interesting to me is the gentleman riding that motocross cycle is Ricky Fowler. His win in the 2015 Players might be the most emphatic example of a player entering the zone and drinking the flow cocktail. As coaches, what can we learn from this? How can we put our students in situations where they're going to be forced to drink the fight or flight cocktail and then learn to enable themselves to add those extra ingredients, shake it all up and turn it into the flow cocktail when it matters?